All right, there we go. Welcome, everyone, to the Connecting With show. I am the show producer, Tiffany White Sage Woman. We seem to be having technical difficulties today due to there is a blizzard, a huge storm in the Northeast. So it's been affecting phone lines and shows today. But don't despair. We're here. Normally, the show host is Betty Jane Ware. And this evening, she has an event that she had scheduled. So we have a very special guest host this evening. He has hosted one of Betty Jane's shows before. And the very special guest host is Patrick Ware, who is Betty Jane's husband. And he is full of paranormal, spiritual, and metaphysical information and loves to share this information with everyone. So I am... please, I'm encouraging you to call in and have a conversation with Patrick. The call-in number is 323-870-3791. Be sure to press 1 if you would like to get on air with Patrick and maybe listen to what he's talking about, jump in the conversation. He does give spiritual advice and guidance, but he is... I think we're all intuitive. Let me just say that. So if you're expecting Betty Jane Ware, she will return to the show next week. But sit back, enjoy, and let's just open your mind and be expansive and enjoy this evening's show with Patrick Ware. So without further ado, I would like to bring him on. Welcome, Patrick.
Welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I will turn it over to, and we're going to have the Paranormal Hour with Patrick Ware.
Okay, yes, my wife calls it Paranormal Pat, but I'm not sure I like that. So I'm just going to say I'm here to talk on a bunch of subjects. I hate to disappoint that my wife's not here. She's much better at this than I am, but we're going to muddle through an hour and have some fun. If you'd like to talk to me about any subject, I don't care what it is. I love to hear myself talk, as you're going to find out. One of the topics I was thinking about today, I was talking with someone, and it was on a bunch of subjects, and there's things like ghosts, Bigfoot, time travel, even chakras, and conspiracy theories, and lots of interesting subjects. And what it was is, do you believe in them? But it's the thing that I keep saying to people, yeah, okay, you believe in ghosts. Why do you believe in ghosts? You can't just say, I believe in some. Well, I guess you can, but I think that's kind of boring. You have to have an opinion. It's like I know someone who believes in Bigfoot with all their life, but because they believe they saw Bigfoot. And you cannot change his mind because he honestly believes he saw him. And who might argue? I think that's awesome. The ghosts. I know some people, we went ghost hunting in England in a very scary place. If you get scared, which I hate to admit it, I did. If you're listening out there, Pip, don't believe it. And things I saw and felt were, I don't know, they were bizarre. Was it just because I was in an area that was a bit, I don't even know what the word is, but a bit tingly, I guess. And, did that manifest my beliefs better for something was happening? I don't believe so, but, I am a skeptic as well. And I have had many people bring me tapes of ghosts hunting, and I have looked at them. And I found things like dust on lenses, and people just want to believe anything. And we all get to that point. It's something that we do. So some of my subjects that I like to talk about this are conspiracy theories as well. And there's quite a few in the world. There's, of course, 9/11. Was it a false flag, or was it just how did it happen? There's things that there was time travelers that came back and did several things in the world. And do you believe that? And why? And some things. Anyway, I'm going to move on to talk a bit about Bigfoot right now, and I'm going to say, because I have hunted Bigfoot, or would like to, hunt Bigfoot just for fun. I'm not saying I believe anymore. I'm getting a little tired of all the shows and wondering, like, when they go to these wonderful places and they see Bigfoot for, 2 days, and then they leave in the middle of, oh, wow, this is really squatchy or whatever it is, and then they leave. And this has sort of got me to the point of not as much of a belief as I used to. I used to actually think it was possible. Now I'm starting to wonder because, there's all these shows out, there's all these people looking for this stuff, or Bigfoot, and, with all the cameras and everything there. And now I'm starting, I'm getting too skeptical maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's my old age coming through and such. One of the things is I have studied the Patterson-Gimlin film quite extensively, and I always thought it was real. I can't see how anyone would fake it. Now I just start to wonder after a while because there's no definitive proof. There's several shows on, obviously, Finding Bigfoot being the one, I guess the most popular one that I can think of, and there's one that's even Killing Bigfoot, which just the name of that just makes me distraught. But with Finding Bigfoot, they've been on for, I think, 4 seasons, and they're not, I don't think they're any further away. Everything's squatchy, so it's been bothering me. So that's my quick one. I have looked into doing Bigfoot hunting, and I've talked to people about going and doing this, and I'm trying to pick a place. So if anyone who's listening can think of a good place to go, I think Washington's probably the best, or Vancouver Island. So those are my two thoughts on where I would go. And if I did go, it would just be for fun. If you found anything, that'd be awesome. But I'm not sure that's where we're headed there. It's like UFOs, the same thing. But I do believe in aliens, and because I don't know, I can't think we're all alone out here. And same thing though. There's a lot of shows on that, and still haven't seen definitive proof, or have we? Because there's a lot of photos out there that they haven't disproved. So again, I'm just trying to see why I believe in things and why I don't. Mostly I believe in aliens and UFOs is because I've read enough books about it that some of them have got to be real. So, how do I put that? It's just interesting. And like Roswell, that's one place that I would like to visit and go. And I'm starting to ramble here, so just bear with me for a minute. My dog jumped on the bed there and disturbed me for a second, and I apologize to everybody. And yes, I believe in my dog. How's that one? I have a friend that I had a conversation with this week, and I happened to say, I don't know if I believe in chakras. Well, you thought I would have shot someone at that moment. And he's an expert in it, and he actually takes aura photography, and he's started to explain to me all the reasons why I should believe in it. So then I did some research, and I'm still not sure. So, Dennis, when we get together again, I will be chatting with you about that. Matter of fact, he's willing to come on with Betty Jane and talk to her sometime. That was an interesting conversation for me, because it's just I've heard a lot about healing and chakras, and I've never really understood it. Maybe that's what he said. I just don't understand it. And I said maybe I don't, but I think I do. But so I'd like, in the future, that's another show that we're going to do, because some of these ideas are going to be more, how would you put it? We're going to go more in depth about each subject. I'm just sort of touching on them because I'm going to be subbing for Betty Jane or doing something on my own, and these are things that I'm going to go deeper in, and I'm actually going to have some people on that can, debate things with me a little bit and such forth. So that just makes it easier. So If you want to call in, I was told to say the number by my wife a few times. It's 3238. Either that or I'm just going to keep rambling, which I like to do. So, it's another subject which I had with a friend. Was about magic, and do you believe in magic? And I'm not talking Houdini magic. I'm not talking David Copperfield. I'm talking real magic. And can you manifest things and make things happen by, your intentions? And I find that, having been involved in a few things, I will say that, yes, I believe in that, and that's the reason why I believe in it, because I've actually seen things happen. It's quite an interesting process, and I know Betty Jane's talked on that subject a few times, or at least once that I know of, and she teaches courses in it and explains it a lot better than I will, but because I'm not getting into the explanations that deeply tonight, I'm just touching on a bunch of subjects and trying to have some fun with it. So my subject with magic is that, as my wife and I have said very many times, you have to be very specific, really concentrate, and it's almost like a meditation, and keep yourself in the zone. But you have to also be very specific about what you want. And, if you're trying to manifest a car in your life, make sure you don't just say car, because you could end up with a Pinto or something, an old Pinto that's rusting out, and that's not what you want. That's another subject that I think we could talk about in the future, or tonight, or that. There's also the occult, which I have read a lot about. I'm not an expert, but I like to pretend I am, I guess. And there's things like Crowley, Jack Parsons, the rocket engineer, and an OTO member, and the connection of Scientology to the OTO as well. And that's a big subject these days, Scientology, with Lee Remy and a bunch of others. And the documentary Going Clear on Scientology, another interesting subject that I find kind of fascinating, is the combination of L. Ron Hubbard being part of the OTO at one time, and with that's Crowley's organization, and and his dealings with it back in the 60s and hanging out with them, and what happened and how he broke free because he wanted to run his own thing. So, okay, I have a caller. It's caller 805. Go ahead, please.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry I'm not Betty Jane.
Yeah, sometimes I think I've seen, I know I've seen them, but I don't know if they're ghosts, but they're like people, and it's like a mirage, but I actually see them. Yeah. So is that kind of what like a ghost is?
Well, I'm thinking that it can be anything, really. It can be a feeling, too, when you're in a room and you know someone's there and you just can't get rid of it. And I think that's partly what it is.
Uh-huh.
But I think, do you see these things like all the time, or just when you're in areas that are very high in spiritual energy?
Well, I saw like 12 people lined up at the beach once, and then I saw this girl, teenager, passing my room, and then I was taking care of an elderly woman, and she said she saw them in the house, and I didn't say anything. And then a couple weeks later, I went into a room, and I saw all these young kids in the room, sitting on the bed and everything. So, I mean, she was right on as far as what, she was seeing, because I saw the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's amazing, because that's sort of corroborated with someone else, and that you don't hear of very often. Like, in my life, I live with someone that talks to spirits all the time, and matter of fact, her thing, to show you to try and explain, and I'm not going to explain for her, but I'll try and explain it a bit.
Uh-huh.
She has headaches from people trying to talk to her.
Oh.
And she's had to learn over the years, because she used to get these wicked migraines and she said, someone's here. She'd go, something's bugging me, and then she said, someone's here or something, I don't know, and then eventually she learned to let it go through and or tell the person I'm going to talk to you, but I'm not going to talk to you now. And that took a long time. So, and that's how she started. I know she started when she was younger, but I'm just trying to explain. And like with me, we were in, it wasn't a castle, it was in the tunnels underneath a pub actually in England, and doing some ghost hunting. And something fell off a shelf, and I went, oh yeah, okay, here we go. Someone's doing that, right? And then I realized there was no one else around. They had all left and gone upstairs for a second, and I was standing there, and that sort of made me feel. And then I saw like an orby light leave the room, or leave the tunnel, and that was what I found. So those are my thoughts. And I'm glad that you phoned because you said you believe and why you believe, and I think that's awesome. Too many people these days are saying, oh, I believe this and I believe that. Just explain to me why. It can be faith, too. I don't care. I'm just interested. So thank you very much.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, too, you're pretty intuitive, right?
Try.
Yeah. Be meeting someone soon. Yeah, I'm online, but I don't care for it too much. I mean, you say one thing exactly alike, and they, you know what I mean? It's like, this isn't going to work.
To be fair, I've been married for 32 years, so it's a little tough. But my son's 28, and I shouldn't talk about him on the air, but I'm gonna. I said to him the other day, just go out if you're going to do the online dating. Do it to have fun. Just go out and have dinner and meet someone rather than sitting at home. Don't make it such a big deal, because I always found that, like a lot of things in life, when you make it a big deal, it doesn't happen. But when you just go and enjoy the moment, live in the moment, does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not a reader like my wife is. I'm not that. I'm more about reading the moment, if that makes sense. And that's what I'm trying to. I've had two people actually. It's funny you should ask that about online dating, because I had two people ask me about what I thought of it, and I think it'd be, if I was young and had no one, I think it'd be great. Why not? Just go out and have fun. Just don't have the expectations that everybody you meet's going to be
the one.
Yeah, the one. Whether if that makes sense. I'm trying to make sense, but
yeah.
And so I hope that helped.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you for phoning. I appreciate it.
All right, you have a nice day, okay?
Yeah, and hope you're not in, I don't know where you called from, so I hope you're not digging out of the snowstorm. So.
I know, I'm in 80-degree California.
Oh, now I'm jealous, because I'm in Toronto. And it's,
you'll have your spring weather soon.
Yeah, minus 10 and snow. So, well, you enjoy your 80-degree weather, and call in anytime. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah. Now, that was interesting, because they had a belief in a ghost. She even told us about that. And I shouldn't really talk about things that other people, but one thing I would say is my wife will tell me that she likes to go to graveyard. She finds the energy really good, which I thought would be tough on her, but it's not. She just finds it very relaxing. And she says she doesn't, no one there, like, she just won't let them, she just tells them, I'm not here to talk to you, I'm here to relax. And she wanders through, and she just enjoys it. She finds the energy nice and peaceful, and that. And yet, I've taken her we have a huge Hudson Bay store in Toronto, and it's got some really strange places in it. And one of the guys took her there because they wanted to see what she thought. And she got about into the room and just said, I don't feel good in this room. And she left. We've been married a long time, but I've done these things with her before, and I've only seen her do that about 3 times, where she just does not want to be anywhere near it. And that's not good. Then that makes you really nervous when you have to go work in that room or whatever. And I did find out that some weird things had happened. I never found exactly, but a lot of people said that room was not, something happened there years and years and years ago, and they never said exactly what. That's the unfortunate part. I've been tried to do some research on it, And then we had a place that in Kingston, Ontario, where we go, the psychiatric hospital, which, you know, you read about those online, and that's another place that is very, the energy is not good. There's a lot of energy, but a lot of it's very disturbed and disrupted people that weren't very comfortable, and I've seen some weird things there, too, when I was working in there. We actually worked in the, it's closed now, but it's empty. It sits there as the old psychiatric, where they housed the mentally ill, and just to walk through that place was bizarre. And I actually heard wailing, and I was with someone, and they heard it too, and we swore someone must be in the building, but the building's locked up. And that's where I've seen a few. Like, we were legally in there working, but I've had a few videos brought to me from that building which were not, they were trespassing, and I don't want to ever, say that trespassing is right, even if you're going ghost hunting, I mean, you should have permission. I know I'm being a buzzkill there, but I believe that, because if you get hurt or something on the site, it's not a good idea. So those are a couple of my ghost things. Almost anywhere that has a lot of energy can bring your energy out, and you can manifest the idea yourself, and then you're manifesting things. And that I've seen with magic. So I've seen it. People go and they want to believe something so badly that they talk themselves into it. So when you go, you've got to sort of let yourself. If you're going ghost hunting, you've got to let yourself sort of relax and get into the moment, and out of believing every little bump in the night is something. So I don't know if that makes sense too, but that's too what I've found. That's my subject on ghosts for now, I think. I'll go back to UFOs a little bit. And one of the things that I always find fascinating is I like to cross-reference things I find, like occult things, and but just general daily things. And one of the things is we were talking about magic, so I'm going to try and bring it all together. So if you can look this up online. It's right there for you. It's Crowley. If you don't know who Aleister Crowley was one of the, he called himself the wickedest man in the world and stuff like that. But I would like to say that he actually, sorry, someone sent me a message that was a joke. I apologize. He was manifesting angels, demons, whatever you want to call them, and he used to draw what he manifested. And one of the things he manifested was a gray alien, but it was years before gray aliens were called gray aliens or even drawn. So that always made me feel kind of interesting, because after a lot of people drew what they saw from aliens, and that's what we got. So it's very interesting, the cross-reference of it. So, sorry, I got distracted trying to type and read at the same time, and I'm not as good as my wife, and I'm learning in that. So, Dennis, if you want to make a comment, call in. Thank you. If that helps. And, okay, I want to talk, the next subject is why today, in today's society, we are, and I wonder how we manifested this in our life, is when someone gets, and I find this now more than ever, is if someone gets a good thing happening to them, we get happy for a second for them, and then we seem to want to bring them down to our level. I think that we should start to learn to bring them up, and I think that's a type of spirituality for me, is I want to bring people up to my level rather than down to my level, if that makes sense. So if someone's doing really well, I'm happy for them. I think that's great. Yeah, sure, I get jealous occasionally. I'm not altruistic, but I like to believe that. And I just find that in today's society, we're getting I don't know, we're just angry all the time, and I don't know why. Maybe we're working too hard. Maybe we're worried about our life, or I don't know. There is a lot of stress on people, and good jobs are hard to find, and making life move forward. So that's another subject that I would like to touch on in the future, and Betty Jane wanted to talk about that one as well, because she gave me a list of things she's going to be talking about here, so I'm just going down, and I am rambling here a little bit. I apologize, but I'm having fun, and I hope you are, if you're listening. Okay. And we're going to talk about St. Patrick's Day, and that's coming up on Friday, and that's my day, obviously, Patrick, ha ha ha. But St. Patrick Day was the reason they did the day is because he drove all the snakes out of Ireland, and I still meet people today that believe that there were snakes that he drove out of Ireland, and no one, it was the pagans. All the non-believers of Christianity and stuff, and that's why some pagans believe to this, will not celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Now, I'm not one of them. I think it's a fun day, and I go out, and happened years ago and all that stuff, and I'm not really that tied up in it, but I can see people doing that, and that's another subject that I would like to bring up in the future, is why we celebrate different days. I just picked St. Patrick's Day because it's coming up just around the corner, and I like to drink beer. That's another good one. So, as Tiffany told me, I should always have a beer ready for as soon as the show overs to let me relax after. So, and I don't tonight because it's too late and I have to go to work tomorrow. So, but that's the one that I was bringing up. But then you bring Easter, is Ostera. I can go through them all, but I won't tonight. But we can go into all the different backgrounds of why Christmas, Xmas, Christmas, whatever. It depends what you celebrate, and there's all sorts of them, and the different beliefs behind them, and the different culture, and even superstitions behind all the days, which are very interesting and go back to a lot of history, and I think that's kind of interesting. Excuse me. Anyway, and so in the future, if you'd like to talk about that, that's fine too. Now, there's a subject that was my wife was going down, and she's on a radio or TV show down in Niagara Falls, and the guy there is fascinated with time travel. And him and I have studied back pictures and things that happened, and how it is actually in belief that certain agencies to this day have a time machine of some sort, being the Vatican, the CIA. Even the Canadian government was accused at one time of it. So one of the things that I found fascinating is if you go back and look at some of the pictures, and these pictures have been around for years, you can see modern technology in the middle of, the Gettysburg Address is a famous one, where a young man is wearing oversized shoes and all that, and he's actually been interviewed, if you believe that, and I've heard it, and he says that it was part of a operation that they used to send people back in time to, not to change things, but to monitor it and learn about it, to bring the knowledge back. There's the famous one, the gentleman that lived in Florida, John, and he actually predicted that we'd be in World War III or whatever by now, and we're not. Well, unless you believe we are. Maybe we are, I don't know. But a little different. And that's another one. Then there's a lot of pictures of very famous people that you look at them on the walls from, all over, from 50, 100, 200 years ago, and you go, wow, it's exactly alike. Now, I just think that's DNA, and it goes back to that, but some people believe that some of the people that are famous and in high and important places actually have traveled in time, and that's why they can do what they do. That's not one of my beliefs, but that's an interesting thing, and I've had good conversations. So if anybody would like to talk about that in the future, that's another one. One of my pet peeves, but I don't want to get into too much politics, so I'm not going to talk politics. I'm just going to say that one of my conspiracies is that there's like 7 to 12 families or organizations that run the world. That one, the Bilderberg and such, like the royal families, the rich people getting into it, and they actually shape the world. Like, they believe that if jobs are getting too plentiful and costs are going up and everything, they will start a recession and depression and things. And they have actually meetings. They actually do meet, because that's been proven. But whether that's what they're discussing, I would like to not think so. But I actually, there is a bit of a truth to it, and wondering, because people tend to do what they think is right for the rest of the world, if that makes sense too. And that's a subject that is interesting. I'm not sure how you can go, because you can't really prove that one, but it's a fun conspiracy, and that I kind of believe a little bit of that, but I believe it in that the people are trying to do what they think is right for the world, but sometimes altruism and your ideas can lead to a lot of problems, because it gets you going down a bad path, as they say, because you start to believe your own press clippings and such forth, and that's for me, that's an honest thing that anyone can do about anything. It's including all the other subjects, the ghosts, the Bigfoot. You can start to believe everything you read. You have to be, somewhat discerning in what you're reading, and that. So that's an interesting one, I find, and I have lots of research on that one. But it's more of a subject you start on, and I have to delve into a little deeper, and I will in the future. That's not one that my wife likes, by the way. She doesn't like conspiracy stuff. She's more into the nicer things in life. So, yes. And one of the reasons that I like to do research, and one of the things I learned when I was doing research, and it comes up in all these subjects, is I don't take the first, if I read a book, I go, oh, that was really good, and that was interesting, and I learn a lot. And then I try and find another book that is on the same subject, and by a different author or wherever the subject comes from, and I like to read that one, and then I go, okay, that they said something opposite of that person, they said this, or okay, that disproves. And then I like to read at least one more, usually more. I can ask my wife that one, but I find then I at least you start to be able to weed through facts and fiction and stuff like that, and I make it like example, and I'll tell you, this is an easy one to sort of go through, is I like the Doors, and I read a lot about the music from that era and the people in the music, and I've read a lot about Morrison, and what I learned about this was it depends who you read. There's several books, as you probably know, and one of the subjects, are different things, how he died, and there's like 7 different things, 7 different theories, and some are even that he's still alive, that he faked his death and wanted to get out. Well, when you read all the books, you find that there are people that love Morrison so much, Danny Sugarman being one, and he could not say anything bad about Morrison. Like, even though he always sugarcoated it, no pun intended, and tried to make him look good. And then you read other ones that just absolutely hated Morrison and hated the Doors and all that, and that's fine too. But they would take everything to the negative and go from there. And I found that once you read all these books, you start to learn, okay, this is true because they all 3 say it, and might be slightly exaggerated by some in one way, and you kind of get to the truth. And I tried to do the same thing with UFOs, with conspiracy theories. I read a lot of UFO books, and have in the past anyway, and Stanton Friedman's a very interesting, and I'm biased towards him. I read him, and I tend to believe his stuff almost too much, and I catch myself because I think he's actually, he how do I put it? He backs up his theories and his information with actual interviews and legwork and research, and whereas some, I find they jump to conclusions, and that's what I'm always trying to watch for, including myself. I try not to jump for conclusions when I'm reading, and, well, we were talking to someone earlier about ghosts. I try not to jump to conclusions on that, and that's what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's not true, I'm not saying that it isn't, but what I'm saying is not everything is that. So this is why I tend to go with certain writers, and there's all sorts of feuds with these writers about every subject. They get online, and that's what the internet is about now, is it not? About how we get on there and we decide that we like this person or like that person better. Even like with hockey, I know Tiffany likes the Rangers and I like the Leafs, and the Leafs are better, obviously, but right, Tiffany? Anyway, I'm rambling about that. That's because I was watching the game and they're losing, so I'm not happy. But that's how I do research, and I try to find it. So if we have a subject that we're going to do in the future, and I'm going to research just one subject, that's what I'll do. I'll get my books out and we'll get it, and we'll chat about that. And I think that would be a lot of fun. If you get on there and debate with me, or if you don't agree with me, that's fine. Or if you do agree with me, that's a little boring, but it's good because I'm usually right. So if you hadn't noticed. Yes. We have a caller. It's 416. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm not bad. Oh, hi. How you decided to call, did you? Yeah.
Well, I figured what the hey.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to say that I'm really enjoying the show, and I'm a big fan all of a sudden.
Wow,
considering this is the first time I've listened in.
I'm rambling.
Well, you are. That's okay. You're allowed. You're the host.
Yeah. So this is Dennis. This is my friend that I was discussing the other night about chakras and not believing. And what did you say to me, Dennis? Go ahead,
I can't remember the exact words, but basically, yeah. No, I think you're full of crap.
I think that was the exact words. So explain to the listeners that what are chakras. Dumb it down for me who doesn't understand. So there you go.
Exactly. So basically, just how it is. Chakras are the energy centers that have been known for thousands of years, right? But a lot of people are starting to understand that there's an actual physical component to all this now. So it's actually related to the endocrine system.
That's the part I have a problem.
It's a subject that I'm very passionate. It's a subject I'm very passionate about, so I'd be more than happy to discuss it in further length with you at some time.
Oh no, I appreciate it. But
anyway,
a little more. I interrupted you, so go ahead.
No, it's really nothing. Like I said, I can go on for an hour or 2 or 3 hours actually with this stuff, but. It's definitely a passion of mine anyway, considering that it's kind of what I do anyway as an energy worker and so forth, like just like Betty Jane is as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted it wasn't so much that I was actually talking about or calling in for, but actually the whole conspiracy theory thing is actually, it's funny that you mentioned it earlier. Because of the fact that even just today I was sitting at my desk at work, and sometimes I'll put on a YouTube or something like that in regards to like whatever, just to kind of like create some noise sort of thing. Eh?
Yep.
So instead of the radio, I'll actually play like something that doesn't have a commercial on it. And there's this one I was actually listening to, and I don't know, maybe the rest of the listeners might be interested in too, but it's called The Esoteric Agenda. And
I've heard of it. I haven't really listened to that one very much.
Yeah, it was actually kind of interesting because he puts a lot of information in a matter of, I think it's like 2 hours, if I'm not mistaken. But there's a lot of information there, and he's putting a lot of, I guess you could say, links and connections and so forth between, as you were saying, about the Bilderbergs and the Queen and I guess you could say George W. and George H. Bush sort of thing.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. I know that. I know.
The funny thing is like you're saying, though, it's definitely one of those things where like you start digging out the dirt around it, but you can get a pretty deep hole if you're not careful, sort of thing. So.
No, exactly. So I have a question for you from Tiffany. And it's about chakras, so I don't mean to change the subject back, but she right away went that. She wants to know how many chakra points there are in the body because she's been told many different numbers.
Well, it all depends. Like, let's put it this way. There's, like, every culture in the world throughout the course of time has had or has their own version of their own chakra system. So let's say the North American Indians, I believe they had like 4 or 5. If you go, let's say, for example, into India, there's the typical 7 major ones. If you go, I believe, into, let's say, China, like I believe that they have, let's say, another 5 to 9. But there's also classifications, too, where you could actually have micro chakras, which it all depends on what a person perceives, okay?
Well,
and that's really what it comes down to.
Now, Dennis, that's where I run into problems. You're saying where I perceive. So there's no scientific proof then of this, or is there?
Well, no, they're actually, like, if you look at, like I said, once again, scientifically, like you can, let's say, for example, like I said, the Chinese or whatever, they would actually did a lot of work with, let's say, for example, meridian points and the flow of energy, or as they would say, qi, in regards to the human energetic system. So everywhere that you get these lines crossing, typically there would be, let's say, for example, either a major chakra or perhaps even a micro chakra. Okay. So let's say, for example, the heart, which is related to actually the gland beside it, the thymus, which is actually I guess you could say that infection control, that whole center for unconditional love, connection with others, healing, teaching. But it produces this, and once again, the perception comes from, let's say, how a person will see, let's say, for example, the color around a person. Okay? Like for me, yeah, exactly. It comes down to the aura. And that's where the chakra energy kind of comes out. So, in other words, like for me, I typically will see, let's say, the heart chakra as a green. Whereas some people will actually, if they are perceiving it, they may see it as let's say, a pink, even for that matter. But green is very strongly typical with a lot of people, actually. So there's a lot of different factors there.
Now, I'm going to say that I'm not I'm giving Dennis a bit of a hard time because I have issues, but he did an aura photography on my wife at a psychic show, but it was near the end of the psychic show, and he gave her some things where I think it was her heart chakra was a little low, and her infection chakra, or I don't know because I'm not versed in it, but my wife came back and said, yeah, I know exactly what it is. I'm not feeling very well. I haven't eaten all day, and he caught that right on and he did not know because he was at one end of the psychic show and we were at the other. And so there is something there, and I'm going to say that to you, Dennis. I just, I have some issues, but you're very good at explaining it. So. Well,
the thing is, though, too, is that, like, with the equipment that I use, like, I've been seeing auras since I was a kid, but I use the equipment it's something different, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But the equipment has actually got some science-based behind it, okay? So, in other words, it uses a thing called electrogalvanic skin response, So very basically, what it comes down to, it's a really fancy lie detector. Okay. So in other words, like when a person puts their hand on the equipment, it's picking up the various reflexology points in the hand. Okay. So what it's doing is it's measuring those subtle electrical differences. It puts it into the computer. But the guy that actually designed it, he was pretty damn smart, and I wish I had his foresight in it, because I'd probably be a millionaire by now instead of him. But the thing is, though, is that so he actually hired psychics and people that could actually see the aura as well. And he started asking the question, okay, what are you getting for this person? Oh, you're getting green. Oh, what does that mean? And he kept putting that into the system. Putting it in. And next thing you know, he's creating a database of information. And it's a very extensive one. And I don't know how many people he's used or how many psychics he's used, but it's very accurate, and it's very close to what I perceived. And that's why I ended up actually buying the system myself. So let's put it this way. There's science mixing in with the esoteric here. And that's the beauty of this. Okay,
that makes us go around, right? Makes us go around, right? That's why
exactly.
No, you're absolutely right, and you almost got me convinced, but
just got to bend your leg a little bit more there on that one.
Yeah, no, but
anyway,
it's good. So, yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Dennis. I appreciate you calling in, and we're going to do that again.
It's my pleasure.
And
absolutely, I'd love to.
And Dennis and I are starting a healthy men's thing, and in the next month. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to get my wife to plug it too. So, but that's in Toronto. But
Very
you
good.
can come from anywhere, right? So
exactly.
All right. Thanks,
Very
Dennis.
good.
We'll talk.
You're welcome. Talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Dennis and I have had these just actually met a little while ago. We're both unfortunately electricians, so that's why we started chatting. And then Dennis sort of came along, and we've been going back and forth because we go to the same psychic shows. And we just met the other night for a beer and had some fun. The three of us, my wife was there too, and we were chatting, and that's when the chakra thing came up. And I told him to listen. So, yeah. Anyway, I have a special guest here too, and she's going to say hi because she just got up here. So here you go. Here's a special guest.
Hi, everyone. And I'm here, but I'm not. Pat's doing a great job, I'm sure.
No.
He's rambling, but that's what he does. I just got thrown into the middle of this, so I'm glad everybody's here having a great time chatting with Paranormal Pat. And please don't forget to visit my website at www.bettyjaneware.com to book an appointment or see what's coming up next on my busy schedule of events. And also you can follow me on Facebook at Betty Jane Ware. And I'll bring you back to Pat. Thanks.
See, I have lots of people coming through. You can let you talk to my dog, too, who disrupted this show earlier, but she doesn't say much. So, actually, I wanted to say, and Tiffany would be a good guest, too, and I want to get her. That's my Roz, or producer, or not mine, but my wife's, and she has a store. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but it's in Connecticut, I think. And she's lots of crystals and stuff, and I've seen it go through, and it's kind of a cool thing. So there's a lot of people out there that you just got to ask questions about, and like Dennis, he's an electrician, and you wouldn't think that us electricians are that deep and philosophical, but we are. I still don't know if I agree with the chakras, but I'm starting to come around. But you never know. Maybe I'll get an aura photographer. Oh, Crystal Visions is in Jewett City, Connecticut. I didn't even know that was a city. Wow. And you can go to www.crystalvisions. Oh, I lost it. See, I'm not very good at this. That way. Anyway, she has an online store too, but I've been looking at it. Crystal Visions New Age Shop. And the reason I brought it up, always willing to talk about neat things, and that's I've seen what she's put through, and she's been running some courses out of there, And I think that that's amazing, and I think we need to have that more where we can actually get together, sit down and talk. And pagans call it a pub moot, which has been a bit one of the more fun things that we've done, and I think that you need a central location, and we used to own a store, and for good or... Yeah. And it's a place where people could come and say, we used to get that... it's... Sorry. This is my problem. I lose focus easy. So anyway, what I was trying to say was there's got to be places to meet up in person and get off Facebook, get off the internet, which I never do because I'm conspiracy hunting, but and get together. And we used to get together, and we did a pub, and we did coffee shops, and we just got together in parks even, just to chat and argue and have some fun. She is going to be doing some fairs and stuff out of her store, and they're getting she's getting an Aura camera to take Aura photography pictures, and that's cool. That's what I was talking to Dennis about. That's what got me interested in, because I used to poo-poo it until he showed me some things, and that's pretty cool. So, he did. My wife just said he told me I was sick, and she got really sick. Of course, I gave it to her, so it was as all sicknesses around here go. So anyway, but to recap now, because we only have a few minutes left, and I would like to go over a few things that if we do these shows again, or if I do some other things, we're going to go over all these different topics, but I want to know what, when we do them, and we're going to do this a little stronger, I'm going to go in depth on these topics, and then I'm going to say, do you believe in them, and why do you believe in them? We had one caller in that believed in ghosts, and she told us why, and that was really cool to me, because she actually had a belief. It's not, and faith is a belief. That's fine. If that's why, you just have faith in it, that's cool too. So some of the topics, again, will be ghosts, Bigfoot, time travel, chakras, which I guess we're going to have to get back into, and Dennis is going to have to come on for a whole long time so we can really debate, because we have some other debates too. Conspiracy theories, which Dennis started to get into, and I said we're not going in depth tonight, but we're going to come up with some, and yes. And that's that's going to be fun. Magic, real magic. Well, you can believe in Houdini magic too, but that's it. And then we can get into customs and beliefs like St. Patrick's Day and what it represents, Christmas, Easter, Stera, the, opposites, the yin and yangs, and it'll be fun. Also, I like to discuss a lot of things like that, and my wife just said to remind you that she's going to be in Belleville on 23rd, 24th, and 25th in Belleville, Ontario. So if you want to, you can check out our website, and that's the Belleville Psychic Fair, and that'll be kind of cool. And actually, Tiffany has invited Betty Jane to come down to this Connecticut store, I see. So it's not that far. It's only 40,000 hours, but that's okay. But she was willing to and come and meet, and that may happen too soon. Not probably in the winter, because my wife's not a good winter driver. Well, she's a good winter driver. Sorry, she just looked at me. I meant she's not a good winter passenger. I think I'm in trouble. So anyway, that's okay. I've been in trouble before. So basically, to conclude, my beliefs are I never came through with a lot of them. I mean, our ghost hunts that we did that turned out kind of interesting, and I talked about that. Some in England, some in Kingston, and some down right here in Toronto city. Now, I'm Canadian, so that's why I'm mostly promoting about that. Bigfoot, I'm waiting for someone, and if you come up with a place to go Bigfoot hunting or you think would be really good, I'd like to hear about it. You can contact through Betty Jane's website. She will pass it on to me, I'm sure, because she loves to talk about Bigfoot. So, yes, and we're definitely invited. Me too? Wow, that's really nice, Tiffany, because usually I'm not invited, Betty Jane, when they meet me. So anyway, so that's one thing I'd really like people to come. And you can also, through Betty Jane's website, talk to me about any of these subjects that you'd like to talk about further. If you have any suggestions or credits or books, I love books that I should be reading and that you believe are better or interesting, and we can go from there. The Leafs are losing 4-1, so I'm not really happy, but that's beside the point. That's a conspiracy of the American teams to get the Canadian teams out of the playoffs. That's my thought. Anyway, I want to thank everybody because it's coming to the end. I got, 4 minutes left or something? So, I don't know. I'm rambling again. So, okay. So, basically, let's go back. And we'll just discuss this. Betty Jane is in Belleville and several places. In Toronto, there's a big psychic fair coming up. Dennis will be there as well. So if you want to meet Dennis, that would be really cool. Dennis goes to a lot of... That's 7th, 8th, and 9th of April. See, I don't even know where she is. Oh, yeah, she's going to Oneonta, New York. April 29th and 30th. And that's a small psychic fair there. It's right close to Cooperstown. So that's because I went with her and got to go see Cooperstown. So that was pretty cool. So those are some of the places. No. Gotta go right. Sorry, my wife's teasing me. I'm sorry. It's not really what you signed in for. But so Bay Jane will be back on the radio next Tuesday, and she'll take over for me, so you'll get a lot less rambling and a much smoother ease out and ease in. So anyway, I'm going to say goodbye, and thank you, Tiffany. I really appreciate this, and I hope I didn't bore everybody, and have a good evening, and if you're in this snowstorm, please be careful and drive safely, and don't overdo the shoveling. Take it easy. Take some rests and things like that. So thank you very much. Have a good night, and goodbye.